What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bridging the Gap. I'm AJ Malillo.
I'm Stephen and
as you are all well aware of at this point, and we are joined with a great guest. It's Miss Ashley Smith of J1st. You might recognize J1st as this is J1st TV, and we are part of the J1st network. So a little bit of in-house promotion here. Here's Ashley. What's going on? Introduce yourself to the people if you'd like.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I'm Ashley. I am the Director of Operations for J1st. I'm also the internship coordinator. So I work day to day with interns in the office, outside of the office, work closely with AJ. And yeah, I'm excited to be on the show and talk about our internship program.
Yeah, for sure. The internship program was something I was a part of at J1st last summer. It was a great experience. And that's what we have Ashley on to really talk about is the internship program. As Stephen and I can both attest to, internships are super, super, super important for college age students. And obviously Ashley can attest to that as well. College age students, high school age students, getting your foot in the door into something that you might be interested in. I know Stephen has a lot of internship experience. That's pretty awesome. I do too. We could talk a little bit about that. But before we really get into it, let's talk a little bit about Ashley. I think it's important to know who you work for if you're interested in the internship program, and just to get a little bit of behind the scenes of the people that work for J1st is really interesting, I think, for viewers. So Ashley, let's talk about your journey, your story a little bit, because I think it's very interesting. So let's just start from the beginning. When did you start working for Rosemary? Why did you start working for Rosemary?
Sure. So just to rewind a little bit, I graduated from Susquehanna University in 2020, right at the start of the pandemic, with a degree in marketing and management. And I didn't have a job lined up. Was kind of frustrated. Everything shut down. No one was hiring. And one of my friends was actually interning for Rosemary's campaign for Congress. And he reached out to me and said, hey, we're looking for someone to help. And there's a position open for the Director of Operations. And I think you would be good for the role. And I was hesitant. I never really was interested in politics at all. Didn't follow it, really tried to stay as far away as possible from it because I was kind of afraid to speak my mind. I had my opinions, but that's where I left it. I kept it internal. And so I took the chance. I joined Rosemary's campaign for Congress. Loved every minute of it, worked around the clock. And I really enjoyed working for Rosemary. So unfortunately, she lost her race, but I was able to have the opportunity to stay on and work alongside her with J1st. And Rosemary founded J1st in 2018, really solely focused on the taxes and the economy and the spending in New Jersey. And so we sat down with members of her campaign and really tried to focus on what went well, what didn't go so well, and how can we still make a difference? Although her race is over, how can we still help the people of New Jersey? And so we went back to J1st and rebranded it, relaunched it with the mission of 4 different pillars. So on education, taxes in the economy, businesses, as well as the community pillar. And that's really where we started. Was we realized that, we needed more than just to focus on taxes specific to New Jersey. There was more issues than that, and we took a chance, and that's where we are at today.
Yeah, I think that's you're absolutely right. Obviously, taxes and the economy. I mean, what was it in the 90s? Bill Clinton ran on like it's the economy, stupid, right? That's the biggest thing. But in today's politics, there's so much more than that. And one interesting thing about J1st that I realized through working there and just, sort of looking at the platform is a lot of it is pretty common sense, I would say, or at least trying to reach a middle ground. It's not a super polarizing platform by any stretch of the imagination. And one thing I loved about the internship program, which we could get into more later, is that we had people from across the political spectrum in the internship program working with each other, and maybe we disagreed on X policy, but we agreed on Y policy, so that's what we worked on together. You know what I mean? So I think that that's a really fun and interesting dynamic that you don't get a lot in internships. But before we get into that, you had mentioned Rosemary Becky, who obviously is the founder of J1st. So I think that that it's important to talk a little bit more about what it's like to work for Rosemary, because I've worked for Rosemary. Stephen at least is working for Rosemary now and has met Rosemary. So talk a little bit about Rosemary Becky and your experience, Ashley.
Yeah, so I really enjoy working with her. I started with her on her campaign, really didn't have a ton of experience yet. And, every day I'm learning from her. She is a hard worker, works around the clock, and I truly enjoy it. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that she doesn't. I'm very opinionated and I have a lot of ideas, and she listens to me. She listens to the interns, she listens to the community. And that's what I really like about working with her, is she's open to new ideas, different ideas, opposing ideas. And that's really what drives me to work with her every day.
Yeah, I think that that's the exact environment of Jersey First, that always opening to new ideas, trying to figure something out. What's the next thing that we can do? What's the next way we can help the community? And I think that's important. Another thing about Jersey First, unless you want to jump in, Steve.
I was going to say, yeah. One thing I can definitely say about Rosemary is AJ and I had the opportunity to interview her when she was running for Congress. And the show that AJ and I were doing at that time was a lot more directly politically involved. And I took the role, obviously, as the token liberal there. And Rosemary put up a good fight. I pressed her hard. And I feel like that's our job in that capacity in that show, is to kind of press these candidates and see what they're about. And Rosemary, unlike some others that we had who, sat opposite politically of me, was never rude. She was never passing comments, and she was willing to listen. She said, listen, I'm with you on this. I disagree on this. Here's where I think the middle ground is. And to have somebody like that build a platform, not only to invite interns to learn, but focus on agreeable issues, I can say firsthand that this is a woman who sees the middle and wants to exist in the middle. And I think we all need a little bit of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. One thing that's remarkable about Jersey First too is that at the head, it's all woman run. So you have Rosemary Becky, she's the boss, in charge. Absolutely. It's her vision. And then you have Audrey and Ashley, who pretty much do all of the background and all of the things that really make the organization keep going and flowing. And I think that that's a really cool thing about Jersey First. So Ashley, if you could talk a little bit about how cool that is, the importance of that, having, women running the organizations like this and being a major part of it, because I think that's super cool and important.
Definitely. And I'd like to add to that too, that we like to see ourselves as more of a flat organization. So working alongside Rosemary, Audrey, myself, the interns, even our board members, we're all very active, but the interns have some of the best ideas that we've had so far. And so we're very collaborative. We like to work together. Being able to work alongside Audrey and Rosemary, very powerful woman, it's honestly an honor to be able to be a part of that, and to be able to learn from them on a day-to-day basis is something that I enjoy every day. And yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely, I completely agree. They're powerful women. You're a powerful woman yourself, Ashley. Don't sell yourself short. I think that working alongside you three was really remarkable. And then obviously we have the board over at Jersey First. So who are some of the board members, and talk a little bit about their influence too on the organization?
We have lots of great board members. The board members are made up of 9 individuals, very active in the community, all different backgrounds, from business owners to working on Wall Street, to local council members. And, it's great to work alongside them almost daily. They're involved in the day-to-day of the organization.
So to that point, I think one of the most remarkable things about Jersey First is that you guys have sort of created this culture of, I know you said you have a pillar community, and I want to kind of touch on what the mission is in community there. But before that, you guys have, like you said, council members, business owners. You have Rosemary, who is an esteemed lawyer. And then you have some young college students like AJ and I. Like there's a real amalgamation here of perspective, talent, opinion, and just work ethic, interests, all of these things. I'm curious how Jersey First as an organization kind of wants to cultivate all of that into this concept of community, the community being New Jersey.
Definitely. So one of the things when going back to Rosemary's campaign, we realized that was super successful was the interns that we had. And they didn't just make phone calls or go door knocking. They were involved in the research, in the ideas, in the motivation behind Rosemary running. And so that has kind of transferred over to Jersey First. And one of the things that I really enjoy is helping people, making sure that they are able to succeed in life. And so for me, starting the internship program was what I wanted to do. And so it kind of ties into getting involved with everyone. The youth needed a voice. With the pandemic, everything being shut down, we needed a place to go. We needed people to talk to. We needed motivation and drive. And so being able to pull our generation into, whether it's politics, whether it's the community, getting more involved, that's really how we tied it all together. And that was the vision, is that we need to have open conversation. It doesn't matter what party you're a part of. And that's kind of what the show is all about here, your show. And so, that's really where the internship started, as well as getting them more involved with the board members, with outside members of the community, and getting more involved. That's the real vision, is to have a voice, have a say, allow people our age to have some of the best ideas and grow and thrive in specifically New Jersey.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So I think that leads us perfectly into some question about what are some of the things that the internship program does? What are some of the opportunities that we have? Like, I know last summer when I was there, we did a lot of fun events, and it was one thing that I can say, and I've said about the internship on multiple occasions, is that it's not, and you had said this earlier, it's not making cold calls and sending random emails out and doing like really menial, monotonous, like spreadsheeting. And I mean, there's a little bit of that, but not really. Most of it is really hands-on, trying to figure out ways to get into the community, trying to figure out who we want to be a part of this and talk to, and all of those things. I know that I did the Autism Speaks March at the Lakewood Blue Claws, I'm sorry, the Jersey Shore Blue Claws Stadium last summer, and that was really fun. And it was a cool event to be a part of. And so what are some events that the interns might be a part of, and what are some fun things, like we did the Office Olympics, stuff like that?
Yeah, so the interns actually come up with some of our best ideas, like I've said just before. But like you said, the autism awareness event, we've gotten involved in the veteran community, so helping do donation drives for another organization we've partnered with. Getting out into local farmers markets, local fairs, in our office, like you said, the Office Olympics, that was probably my favorite event I've ever done, in an internship, in a job, even in school. That was amazing. We all took a break from working towards the end of the internship, and we dressed up in each team. We break the interns into different teams, and they work on different projects. And so each team dressed up as a different country, and competed in relay races, pencil javelin. What else was there, AJ? There was all different
There was
events.
so much. Paper toss. Yeah, there was
and so we really just tried to make it a fun and friendly environment. Not all about work, not all serious. We did team building at the beginning, where we had to build the tallest towers out of spaghetti and tape. I think were the two things that, and have a marshmallow stick at the top. So little things like that to really build our network, the community feel in the office, and be able to, it kind of broke the ice for open discussion. We're all about discussion. And so doing those little things, learning the little stuff about each individual was really important to our organization. And it also kind of allowed for the interns to open up a little bit, to not be afraid to make suggestions. AJ, you suggested we do a podcast, and that was something that we're still doing to this day, right? Our interns did a podcast. AJ kind of led that project, but it's something that our future interns can be a part of as well.
Yeah, for sure. And that was one awesome thing about the internship, is that literally you came up with an idea, and as long as it was feasible and, like, you know, obviously not super costly or anything like that, it was always like, yeah, you figure it out, and we're behind you 100%. And I think that's another really cool thing about an internship, is like, it's not just a, hey, that's a good idea, like, we'll look into it. It's like, you have a good idea, great. You figure out how to do it, and we'll back you in doing it. And I think that's important too. It's not only giving you the opportunity to come up with an idea, but giving you a chance to implement your idea. And that's a really important thing that a lot of places don't offer, is the opportunity for you to implement something. And that's something I appreciated about the internship. But you mentioned how you broke up the interns into groups. And so talk about the different groups and different types of interns that you have at Jerseyville.
Definitely. So we have a large variety of different interns. Our groups, especially for the summer, are going to be a social media and communications team, a general research team, a legal research team, as well as an events, grassroots, and outreach team. They do a variety of different tasks. Everyone works together eventually. Typically once a week, we meet, we have discussions, and then you break up into your groups. So, you know, there's different research projects on looking at certain policies specific to New Jersey, really based off of your interest too. So if there's something that you're really interested in, we're open to discussion about you looking into that and implementing it into Jersey First. Our social media team, we've had a variety of different students work for us, high school to college grads, and some with political experience, some without. And a lot actually were interested in like fashion and music, but they came to us because they wanted experience. And so, you know, they helped come up with a strategy, analyzed our social media that we had right now, kind of tore it apart and gave suggestions, which we really liked. You know, we want to attract and really target our generation, the younger generation. And the best way to do that is to get you guys involved in it. And so being able to have a say and implement some of these strategies is really what the interns work on throughout the summer.
So I got a bit of a big question, a kind of spatial question, if you will. It's very clear that you guys are committed to opportunity for this generation and providing that. And like you said, you have people from all different walks of life, people in music, fashion, that are for some reason joining this, you know, inherently political organization. And politics is something that, especially for this generation, feels scary to talk about for whatever the reason may be. You may be vilified for your views. You may feel like you're going to lose friends, whatever it may be. You guys have kind of cultivated this environment where you say, listen, you can be what you want to be. We want to give you the opportunity. What would you attribute the success of that to? Like, was that your intent, was to kind of create this space where anybody can be a part of? And if that's so, what do you attribute the success of that to?
I would say that was our goal from the start, is really anyone could be a part of it. And the success to that is honestly the open conversations from the start, from the intern interviews that we conduct. It's really, we start with, you know, as long as you're open to conversation, as long as you're willing to learn, you put in the effort, you put in the time, you will be successful here. You know, we bring in guest speakers from business owners to elected officials to just meet people in the community, and being able to talk to them and kind of find your path is what I would attribute the success to, is being able to talk to those people, being able to work alongside myself, Rosemary, Audrey, board members, even other interns, is what has made it successful.
Yeah, I think that, I'm sure, Ashley, I'm sure you remember this, but I remember times in the office after a whole day of working where there was a conversation that would come out and it got heated, and it was, you know, it was a heated debate, that breaks out when you have all of these people with different ideas. That's going to happen. And sort of like people left the office and there was a little bit of like, okay, well, we got into it a little bit there, but then the next day you come in and it's like, hey, maybe we got a little overboard, but we're all here together, we're all trying to do this together, and there's going to be different views, and like, and it's fine, and as long as that understanding is there, which is important. It's like people are going to come in here with a whole array of different ideas, and that doesn't mean you can't express them. That doesn't mean we can't work together. That doesn't mean we can't disagree and still be cool with each other. I mean, and that's something that is important in community. That's important for us all to remember. And that's an important skill to learn, which is something that I really appreciate about Jersey First, is that it gives the opportunity to learn that skill of, we're not going to all agree on everything, and that's okay. We could disagree and still work together.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And a lot of what we do, the fun events that we bring in, the conversations, being able to have discussion with Rosemary, it allows for, to have that environment, to leave at the end of the day, might be a little bit frustrated, but you still want to come back on that Monday or Tuesday and get back to work and finish the project that you're working on. That's the environment that we've always wanted to have, that we continue to have and hope to have forever.
Yeah, for sure. So before we wrap up, because we're running out of time here a little bit, but I think that what's important too is that this isn't just a summer internship. You have internships throughout the year. So talk a little bit about that, about how people can get involved throughout the year at Jersey First.
Absolutely. So if anyone that wants to get involved, they can submit a resume to info@jerseyfirst.org, and simply just put in the heading, the what is it called?
The subject.
The subject. There we go. The subject, Jersey First Internship, and with your last name. We'll take a look at your resume. We'll set up a time to talk via Zoom. But we offer it for the springtime, fall time, and the summertime. The spring and fall time is mainly virtual, but we do offer in person as well. And you work on the same things. You get to be able to be a part of our guest speakers. That one is mainly once a week, the spring and the fall time, just to allow college age students, high school students to be able to focus mainly on schoolwork. But it's still a great opportunity. You get to work in a great organization, build skills. And then for our summertime, the same thing. We're still accepting applicants for this summer. So it's not too late to apply. Submit your resume to info@jerseyfirst.org. I will most likely be the person to be reviewing the resume and looking over it. But I would say if you could submit it by probably May, I think I said May 20th, still not too late. Our start date is June 1st for this summer to get involved, whether it's virtual, in person. We love to have everyone, if we could, all the younger generation involved. So.
Yeah, and really quickly, you mentioned guest speakers. Talk a little bit about that. I think that's a really cool part of the internship too, and the opportunity to speak to these guest speakers.
Definitely. So once or twice a month, we bring in a guest speaker from, whether it's a local elected official, business owner, a previous intern, someone in the community that has had experience and can relate somehow to the interns. We bring them in through Zoom for about an hour to discuss a variety of different things, how they got to where they are today, any advice for the interns. It's a great networking opportunity also for the interns to potentially get a job one day or learn what they want to do, ask questions, not be afraid to ask questions. Also grow that networking skill to be able to communicate with individuals, business owners, stuff like that, to really be able to hear more from the community.
Yeah, for sure. And one final question for me, and then I'll let Steve ask his wrap up questions that he might have, is what are some of the one of the things that I really also enjoy about the internship program is that if you are good, motivated, and hardworking, if there's a spot for you to stay on, like Jersey First wants you to stay on, and they want to keep the motivated people in-house at their organization. So I think that that's an important thing to talk about. It's like, show yourself, prove yourself through this internship program, and there could be an opportunity for some work at the end of it. I know that a couple of the interns that I was with were able to stay on with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always opportunities for research. One of the things that we're actually implementing this summer that, thank you for bringing that up because I forgot about it, is we're bringing back some of our previous interns to be team leaders. And so they're going to lead each team, be able to be a mentor, give advice, they've been through the internship once. So being able to answer questions, be a point of contact for the newer interns, and work alongside them is something that we're implementing. So that's another opportunity too. You go through one of the internship programs and you're able to come back, stay on, help guide, build leadership skills, and really grow within the organization.
So the only thing that I would ask, kind of like an elevator pitch, because there's a lot of people in this generation, like I said, who, as welcoming as this environment sounds, and it is, I can assure any listener who is not worried, who's worried about that it is a welcoming environment. But to kind of take that jump and put yourself out there in this way it's hard sometimes, especially considering the circumstances of the past few years where students haven't really had this opportunity to connect in these kinds of ways. So what would your elevator pitch to, a student, a young professional, a high schooler be that really sells this is why Jersey First is the place to be?
That's a good question. One of the things, I'll go back to it, is the open communication, being able to get involved, not be afraid. Really, any skill set you can bring that you have, anything that you're good at, bring to Jersey First, and you'll learn 3 other things out of the internship. Be able to grow your skills, but also be able to learn something new. Personally, I have never really had an interest in politics until I started. So being able to take that leap, take that jump, risk. Now with the pandemic, everything going on, everyone now has to take certain risk. Life has changed. And so don't be afraid. We're a great environment to work for. I think that's it.
No, I think that's perfect.
It's hard right on the spot.
I think that's perfect. Don't be afraid. Take the risk. Take the leap. Or what's the saying is, sometimes you have to be the fool, the person that doesn't know, and that's what's going to open up these opportunities for you. And I think you're absolutely right. It's a great environment full of great, hardworking people that really anybody, I think, would enjoy being a part of. But with that, as I look at the time, it is just about time to wrap up here. So Stephen, I'm going to let him take it away. We're going to ask Ashley the toughest question of the interview. Those listening at home already know it. Ashley, I'm sure, already knows it because she's been around the block a couple times. Yeah. But so she has more time to prepare than anyone else, which might be cheating.
Hey, I don't know if it's necessarily fair.
Maybe we should ask her that one, and we'll throw in a bonus one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that. All right. So let's say hypothetically you're hopping in the car, you got a road trip, you're going to an event down South Jersey, right? You want to get in the Jersey mood. It's Jersey First. Who are you putting on? Bruce Springsteen or Bon Jovi?
That's an easy question. It's Bruce Springsteen. My life been Bruce Springsteen. Gone to multiple concerts. Been part of my family. So definitely Bruce Springsteen. So in college, I had a poster of him up on my wall. Definitely Bruce Springsteen.
is another mark on the Bruce Springsteen. We're gonna need a tracker. Yeah. We're gonna have to have our producer Jacob put like a Bruce Bon Jovi tally marker there.
Bruce is running away
at this point. Yeah.
Born to run away.
So another question for you, because you've had time to prepare for that one. So I'm gonna throw this one at you. You're going on a road trip from Jersey to California. Okay. You can pick one person to drive with you on that trip, dead or alive, can go with you. Who are you picking?
That's a good question. I'd probably say my mom.
Your mom, fair.
We travel well together. She likes to stop more than I do, which I'm not a huge fan of, but we we listen to the same music, have good conversation.
And at the time of taping this, it is almost Mother's Day. So I think that this is going to air after Mother's Day, but happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. I know that Stephen and myself, I can't speak for Ashley, but her answer speaks for herself. We all come from terrific mothers that raised us very well, and we're very appreciative of that. So happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a great Mother's Day. Thank you for all that you did and do for us still. Don't forget to say that you love your mom for all of those people listening. But with that, that's going to do it for another episode of Bridging the Gap about the Jersey 1st Internship Program. Ashley, one more time before we say our goodbyes, please tell everybody where they can find out more about the internship program, where they can sign up, and where they can reach you.
Absolutely. So you can find out more about our internship program on www.jerseyfirst.org. It's the number 1st.org. You can contact me at ashley@jerseyfirst.org, and follow us on social media. And that's where a lot of our content is. You can find out more about our internship program. We even have a LinkedIn, so check out our LinkedIn. We highlight a lot of our previous interns so you can see where their backgrounds, where they come from, and what they're up to today. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley.
You.
We really appreciate
you for having me.
Yeah. We really appreciate everything that you've done for us over here at Bridging the Gap.
Tremendously.
And yeah, so if anybody's interested, it's a great time. It's a great place with great people at the head. So thank you for listening to another episode of Bridging the Gap here. As always, I'm AJ Malillo.
Stephen Rombolo.
And we hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week.